Hey everybody, it's me, Zach. This is Judy, and welcome back to our channel. Hey everybody, it's your favorite frail yet slightly overweight elderly lesbian here to give you another wonderful video about Miss Amberlynn Reed. Now listen, honestly, who has the time to go watch all of these long ass live streams? It's like literally searching a beach with like a metal detector. You're searching the whole beach, every inch of that beach, and you come out with like 5 wheat pennies, okay? You come out with 5 wheat pennies. And it's like, wow, those wheat pennies are really cool, but like I literally just went through this entire beach hoping to find something really cool, right? So I thought I had a lot of requests for the reaction to the Tuesday night live stream, the one that was called Bonnie and Clyde. I didn't get as many requests for the Thursday one, which I think was called 5 Minutes, but I'm not gonna react to them like the traditional react like I have been known to do on this channel, right? I know there's like some confusion of like what a reaction is or isn't, and people just consider my channel a reaction channel even though sometimes I don't do reactions. All of this is besides the point. Today I'm just gonna try to give you like the best overview and highlights of all the stuff that happened in both of those live streams, which like together added up to like 2.5 hours of a video. And I'm gonna narrow it down to like 30 or 40 at most. At most. I mean, we'll see. You'll be able to see how long this video is and know how long the important parts are. You know what I'm saying? So let's get to, we're gonna start with the old Bonnie and Clyde video. And what's important to note in this video is that Becky is not there. Actually, at this point, Becky had not been in like 3 or 4 live streams with Amberlynn, which I think is a healthy boundary. I think I talked about this in a previous reaction or something that I did. I think it's like a healthy boundary for Becky to be like, I don't have to come do your job with you every day. Like, we are no longer in a relationship. But people did seem to want to know where Becky was, and Amberlynn said this.
Where's Becky? She's just in her room, chilling.
Which I do want to note that she says that Becky has her own room, because later in the stream, like much later in the stream, towards the end at like 43 minutes, Amberlynn also notes that she and Becky are still sharing a bed.
Do you and Becky still sleep in the same bed? We do. It's because I have a king bed. It's just big. It's more comfortable. It's just 2 friends sleep in the same bed. It's not that big a deal.
And listen, I think it's totally fine that they're still living together. That part to me makes a lot of sense. I know for some people you're like, why are y'all still living together, blah, 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 blah. But it's clear that like they don't hate each other. I think it makes sense to like write out the end of your lease and then move on. Like I can vibe with that as a concept, especially if like you don't absolutely hate each other. But the bed thing, knowing full well that y'all have a whole nother room, I just don't know if I'm buying it. I don't know if I'm buying that that's necessary. But listen, to each their own. As long as you're getting good sleep, which it doesn't sound like Amberlynn is, but as long as you're getting good sleep, you sleep with whoever, wherever, however you want. So of course she spends a good chunk of this live stream talking about her new wifey, whose name isn't Frances. Again, Frances was just an inside joke, okay? But she spends a lot of time talking about Wifey.
Is Frances still a thing? Are you really close friends? Or are you more than that? Is this just a stunt to get more views? Or are you being genuine? I only want what's best for you and Becky. Yeah, we're good friends. And we like each other. So yeah, we're not like in a relationship or anything.
So they're not in like a relationship or anything, but you're gonna, over the course of these 2 live streams, Amberlynn is going to make sure that you know that she really likes this girl, okay? She's really about her. And also, part of that's because Wifey is motivating in a way that allegedly maybe nobody ever has been before.
And I do want to say that Wifey, she's very like motivating. I don't think I've ever talked to anyone who wants to help me as much as she does, and it's pretty awesome. So she's helped me a lot, to be honest. And I appreciate that.
So I do think that's interesting because it's like nobody has ever tried to help motivate you ever. And somebody in the chat even asked like why do you think Becky didn't help you? Like, why do you feel like that?
Why is it that you feel like Becky didn't help you or support you as much as Wifey? What was that face I made? Honestly, it's because referring to her as Wifey is funny. She like gives me goals and like makes me like put out positive like affirmations pretty much. Like before I got on live, she was like, say that you're gonna kill it, and you're gonna kill it. So it's just like things like that. And like we have like a little weight loss goal. Like I don't know, she's just really helpful in that way. And like she's helping me want to like walk more and like giving me little goals. I think I've never really had someone that I'm like into like that, like want to help me with stuff like that. Like Becky just, she didn't seem like she had the desire to help me like Wifey does. So it's really nice to have that.
And I think, you know, I might talk about this at different points throughout this whole video because this is a concept that does come up a lot. But, like, I do think that Becky admitted herself that, like, she was not good for Amberlynn in terms of, like, achieving these different goals and things like that, right? Like, she acknowledged in some of the early breakup live streams that they were holding each other back from, like, accomplishing their goals. And I think she also at different points has said, like, listen, I can't even lose weight for myself. I can't take care of my own health for myself. So, like, how was I supposed to help Amberlynn do that? And I think that those things make sense. I think, though, that, like, Becky has also talked about in the past how she's tried to help motivate you. And you're acting like she's just, like, never tried to do anything ever. But I think what we're learning is that a lot of things that Becky and Amberlynn presented to us on their channel about their relationship are not quite true, especially even this part.
No hate, but why did you claim to never be able to love someone else after Becky and then start to date someone else? Well, I'm not dating someone, and I definitely don't love someone else. I've explained this to Becky and I've talked about it with like my friends and stuff, but Becky and I really did just feel like roommates for like the last 2 years, I'm not gonna lie. So it's like I didn't really process how much I was missing what I desire. Does that make sense? Like there are things that I desire and that I want in my life, and I didn't realize how bad I wanted it until like someone made me feel that way, if that makes sense.
And I get that a lot of people are probably frustrated because Amberlynn has really been so adamant that they're like so in love, even though like people have noted multiple times where it like didn't feel like Becky and Amberlynn were really into each other. It didn't feel like they were really into each other compared to like how into Destiny Amberlynn used to be, this, that, the other. So I get that because it's like, girl, we've been telling you, and like, why didn't you see this? I will also say, I think it's fair to say that, you know, that she is a month out of this relationship now, and I think everything is like a whole lot different when you have hindsight, right? So it's been a month, believe it or not, since they announced that they were breaking up, and I think that once you're not in a relationship or you're not in a certain situation, you can look back at that situation with a different lens and see that this is not this is not maybe what you thought it was the whole time. And it sounds like they've both taken some time to reflect on that and realize like, this ain't it. This ain't it. Somebody also asked her why she would be like marrying her roommate. Like why would she have accepted a marriage proposal if this just felt like a roommate relationship?
Why would you want to get married to your roommate? So I totally understand this question. When you get like, I don't know, Becky and I just had like routine, and I think it was like to the point where I just felt like no one else was ever gonna love me or like find me attractive, and it's like I just felt like this is it, you know. But it's like now that I'm experiencing like other, you know, feelings and talking to other people, like it makes me realize that that was literally just a friendship. And yeah.
And the only thing I guess I want to add that I haven't already said about like hindsight and processing what the relationship looked like after the fact is that the things she said right here were interesting, right? Like she essentially is saying that being able to process what was going on, then she realizes now that it wasn't what she thought it was. And it's making me kind of just think like maybe your journaling isn't enough therapy. I mean, it's not therapy, it's therapeutic. It's not therapy, right? And so I think that this is why I advocate for people to get therapy, period, across the board, because it does give you a space to process this with like a professional who can ask targeted and pointed clarifying questions and help you really fine tune like how you're feeling about a situation, right? Because I would say that, well, one, I do go to therapy regularly, like every 2 weeks. And two, I'm not always in like a really low depressive mode, right? Like I'm not always in a super depressive mood where I always have something super pressing to talk to my therapist about. And so when that's the case, I try to just talk to my therapist about what's going on in my life in general, because it's a good way to check in of like, is everything fine or is there like more that I need to unpack? And I think that she could have came to maybe this conclusion a little bit quicker if she would have just like processed how she was really feeling in the moment. So then of course the wifey comes back up and she makes this comment about how she knows that wifey isn't using her.
Are you sure wifey isn't using you? No, because she said that she didn't even know about my YouTube channel. So, and I believe her.
And I just think it's a little weird because she says here that wifey didn't even know that she had a YouTube channel. But then she says that she met wifey on Instagram. And I'm like, how? She doesn't post photos, just like photos on her Insta feed that often for somebody to just stumble upon that, right? Like most of her Instagram like engagement happens in the Insta stories. So nobody's just like stumbling upon that because she put like a hashtag somewhere and they were searching through the hashtags, right? So that's kind of like what confuses me about that. And also, if you had met on Instagram, like I think from watching your Instagram, even the stories, you very quickly learned that Amberlynn is a YouTuber. So I'm not saying that wifey is or is not a troll or using her in some way. I just like don't buy that wifey didn't know that she had a YouTube channel. And also she says at one point in the live stream that she's known wifey for about a month.
How long have you known wifey? I don't know. I really don't. Maybe a month. But we talk literally every day, all day.
And like I started this video out saying, like, they have been broken up. Amberlynn and Becky have been broken up for about a month. Okay, so just coincidentally, this person came into your life about a month ago when you broke up. And she also says at one point in this video that the wifey person, the way that she first greeted Amberlynn was by saying, "Hey, future wife."
She said, "Hey, future wife." And I said, "Ha, funny."
So you're telling me that a month ago, this woman just slid into your Instagram DMs, had no idea that you had a YouTube, and thus probably didn't know that you just broke up with your girlfriend, and then greeted you with, "Hey, future wife." I don't know, sis. I don't know, sis. Shit's not adding up for me. It surely isn't. If they have several conversations in both streams, and one that we'll talk about in the second stream, but they have several conversations about whether or not this person might be trolling or not. And Amberlynn doesn't seem to understand why people would think that she might be getting trolled.
How do you know that the woman you're talking to isn't a troll? What would make her a troll? Like, I don't understand it. Like, is it because I'm fat? Like, do you guys think that, like, no one could like me because I'm fat? Trust me, we have been down that road. I just know she's not, because of the things that she has told me, showed me, talked to me about, everything like that. We literally talk all day.
And I just, like, don't understand, like, I don't think anybody thinks that she's getting trolled because she's fat. I think people think she's getting trolled because she's a public figure whose, like, entire audience is based around people trolling her. So maybe that's why people think you might be getting trolled. And then there's just like this conversation about, you know, Amberlynn did say, like, right after the breakup happened, that she wanted to be single. And then she now in this stream is also talking about how she's talking to multiple people.
I did want to be single, but it's like when you like someone, you can't control it. Like, we're not together. We're not, like, I don't know if we're going to be in a relationship. I don't know if we're going to date. I don't know. It's like a confusing situation right now. And she already knows this, and the other person already knows this, but there's also someone else that, like, I'm low-key into. Like, it's just like a whole weird situation. Like, I've never been single like this, to where, like, you're talking to, like, a few different people. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. So it's been very different for me, because I feel like I'm cheating, like, even though there's no commitment anywhere. It's like just really weird.
And I do understand why some people might be taking issues with this. I think for a lot of people, they pursue dating as like, I'm going to talk to one person and one person only at a time. But the reality is, at least in my opinion, if you're single, you're not in a committed monogamous relationship, I feel like you can talk to as many people as you want. I think that it's clear that she's also, well, at least she's said that she's told Wifey about it. And at this point, I think Wifey probably can go watch these live streams too, you know? So I think it's fine. I understand why some people might be taking issues with it. And that was all that was very interesting in the first live stream. I mean, like, without any editing right now, my camera says we've taken about 14 minutes to cover that 1 hour live stream. So when I tell you that this shit is like wading through a sea of just nothing to find little nuggets of anything interesting, that's what I mean. And honestly, the other live stream is even worse. It is like just listening to her and Becky go on and on and on about all this stuff that, like, nobody really cares about, or at least, well, I shouldn't say nobody. Somebody out there cares. Somebody does. It's just not me. It just isn't me. There are things that I'm interested in, and part of this is why I'm like, I wish she would just take the things that she knows people want to hear and see, like the things about Wifey and stuff. Let's put it in just like a normal video. At different points in both of these streams, she also talks about how, like, she wants to do videos again, but she just doesn't know what to film. Like, girl, you know what to film, so let's just do it. Let's just do it. I'm so tired of, like, trying to find the little baby tiny diamond nuggets in this wasteland of nothingness. But for the second live stream, the Thursday live stream, the live stream called 5 Minutes, Becky makes her reappearance. It's her first one, I think, in like 4 live streams that she's present for. So welcome back, Becky. And one of the first things that they talk about is, like, Amberlynn gushing about all of the support she's getting from Wifey.
Speaking of positive, I weighed myself again today, and I'm just, like, losing weight. I am, like, doing this thing. I don't even understand. Ain't I, Becky? Mm-hmm. I'm, like, so
She's
proud
doing
of
her
myself.
exercises. and everything.
I am like so beyond proud of myself. I just can't even put it into words. It's because I have like support. Like I have someone who's like, this isn't shade against Becky, but I like have someone in my corner that's like a different type of like motivation. I don't know how to explain
Here's
it.
the thing: this person is already fit and healthy and whatnot, and here I am struggling myself. So, how was I supposed to help you in those ways?
Yeah.
When I can't even help myself in those ways.
Right.
And I do see why people think, like, this is shady towards Becky, because she's literally sitting next to Becky being like, Becky didn't help me with shit, Becky didn't motivate me, Becky didn't do shit for me. And I get that, but like I said a little bit earlier, like, I think Becky has admitted herself, like, I have not been a great partner to Amberlynn in this sense. And I think that is like some great self-reflection for Becky, like to see that like I have not been able to be maybe the type of partner that Amberlynn needs me to be. I think that that's probably, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think that that's way more self-aware than Amberlynn has been about the relationship, right? Because we've seen in past live streams where Amberlynn's been like, I wouldn't change anything about the relationship I had with Becky. Whereas like Becky's like, well, I mean, I definitely could have been a better partner. I didn't help her with her goals. I didn't do this, that, the other. So I don't necessarily see it as shade. If anything, it really speaks to like Amberlynn's lack of self-awareness and speaks true to like the reflection that Becky did in making the decision to break up with Amberlynn. Overall, you know that I don't really talk much about Amberlynn's like weight and health anymore on my channel. It's just like not something I'm interested in discussing. But the one thing I will say is if she is like meeting her own goals when it comes to her health and weight loss, like I love that for her, and I'm glad that she does have somebody that's supporting her. And even if that's not Becky, I think that that's great, and I hope that she does continue to be successful. I mean, I think it is what I wanted for her for a long time. I do think that there are like legitimate concerns about like, why don't you want this for yourself? And she does address some of that during the live stream. So I hope that she continues to evaluate like her motives for doing this, and that she's not just getting extrinsic motivation, but also intrinsic motivation, like doing it for herself, because I think that that's the way that like lasting change happens. So I hope she continues to be successful. I love that for her, and I wish her the best. And let's be honest, it's hard for anybody to be successful with any type of goal without having some kind of good support system, regardless of if you're doing something for yourself or not. So if she has somebody on her side, then more power to her. So honestly, like 25 minutes into this second live stream, not a single interesting thing was happening really. There's just like a lot of them talking about like not having a spark, realizing that they were just really good friends, which like at this point she said a lot. So we're not going to spend a lot of time highlighting all of that. But at 28 minutes, Becky does talk about how she doesn't think that Amberlynn is necessarily like moving on, whoever, whatever.
I don't look at it as Amberlynn is moving on already.
What do you look at it as?
We should have been broke up a long time ago.
This is the craziest live stream.
No, girl, you crazy.
And I think people need to hear that. If I didn't already say this, I think that you need to hear that Becky is not upset about Amberlynn moving on or like talking to new women. I just say that because I think a lot of people are like, Amberlynn, you're not being considerate of Becky's feelings. Well, at this point, Becky said it doesn't bother her. And, you know, I get the argument that like y'all think Amberlynn is moving on too quickly for herself. And I get that. I vibe with that. But I think it's time to just be like, hey, listen, Becky is her own person and she can speak up for herself, and she said that she doesn't have any kind of issue with it. I think one of the other really interesting things that has come out of this breakup is that Becky has kind of in some live streams started to tell on Amberlynn a little bit. And one of those things is Becky calling out Amberlynn for believing things are 100% true without maybe having all of the evidence to support that.
Well, then there was that one time we were in a fight with some other people that we know. I'm not going to say who. But these people, and Amberlynn were going back and forth and having this whole conversation. And this girl goes and tells these people something that didn't even happen. I don't even remember what it was. But this one, she likes to assume things sometimes.
Wait, what?
And it's fact. Wifey has talked to you about this. It's fact. You'll assume something, and to you, it is fact. Because you think there's all the proof right here.
Right.
And then it turns out, no, in fact, that's not it. Like YouTube.
What?
How they fabricate our lives.
Yeah.
They'll take the smallest little bit of context, even something that has no context, and make a whole thing out of it. When you get paranoid and you have your little trust issues and stuff, you do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think that that's kind of funny because I feel like I can now say with some level of confidence that that's something that Amberlynn has been projecting onto some of her critics. Now, certainly there are people out there who make assumptions about her, who take one little thing and run with it in their own story. But a lot of people, myself included, like pretty much strictly pull from what is in her own videos, right? We pretty much take what is there, what she gives us, and that's the story that we go with. And so I just think it's very interesting that Becky's like, hey y'all out there on YouTube, you know the thing that Amberlynn always says that y'all do? Well, she does that in her personal life with other people. I just think it's interesting. Now, there is one point where, like, Becky was addressing not being sure if somebody in the chat was a troll or not, and Amberlynn said this.
Becky, you're hot AF. Dump the 0 and get with a hero.
I can smell a troll. All these people.
That's not true. Because
Becky, you
Becky,
can be my dog's mom. I appreciate it, but
Becky,
no.
I thought Wifey was a troll for a long time.
Okay.
And she knows that.
And this is so confusing to me because if you thought that she was a troll for so long, then why are you acting so surprised that people think she's trolling you? Like, I don't get it. I also am just like worried about the codependency that has come between Amberlynn and Becky, and this is maybe the only thing that's concerning about them still living together because at one point Amberlynn said this.
Why aren't you reading anymore? I can't do this alone.
I think
And I just want to be like, girl, first of all, you can do this alone because you've done like your last 4 live streams without her. And second of all, y'all are about to not live together anymore, so you're gonna have to find a way to do your job without her. I'm sorry to tell ya. Like, I don't understand like why she was being so needy in this situation. Feels a little bit weird. And then the only other thing, and listen, this is like an hour into this 1.5 hour live stream, that was interesting to me, that felt like important to note, is that she took time to shame Becky for doing acid.
I've tried acid.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Oh my God, I blocked it from my memory. You guys, you want to talk about a bad girlfriend? That's what it is. There it is.
Oh, that was the worst thing I did?
Oh my God. I know to a lot of people this is probably not a big deal, but she literally lied to me and I didn't find out until after we broke up that she did acid.
I did.
Recently. First of all, illegal. I'm just kidding.
It was at the beginning of this year. It's not that recent.
That's recent. That was like after the proposal.
And I was with 2 people who I knew my whole life, and they took very good care of me. If you're going to ever do it, don't do it with people you don't know or trust. Make sure you're with people that you love and trust. That's it.
Can you guys believe that she lied to me like that? How do you keep... I am like the most... Like, I don't know what it is, but I can't lie to people. I physically can't do... It's because of guilt.
Literally the only thing I've ever kept from you.
Like, my guilt is like, no bueno. I've never kept anything from you besides that one... the one thing.
Now, I will say, it seems like part of Amberlynn's frustrations are that Becky lied to her, and I get that part of it for sure, for sure. But I'm just so confused because she's so upset with Becky, even calls it illegal, but yet when people ask her to like condemn Chantal's behavior, she's like, I don't think it's any of our business. I don't think we should say anything about Chantal. I think what Chantal's addiction is her business. Like I said, I get the part about lying, but then it's like, Chantal has been lying to her viewers about this all day, every day. So I also don't get that. I also don't get that. Make that make sense, Amberlynn. Make it make sense. And also, I mean, I will say it doesn't sound like Becky is addicted to this particular substance. So that's great. That's good. But I'm just like, again, I've already pulled out the calculator once today, but you know the drill. Shit isn't adding up. So yeah, then they ended the stream with a Mad Lib. Riveting. I know. I know. And that is entirely what you missed on Glee. So I know a lot of you really wanted my feedback, my input, and maybe if you like this style of video, I can do more just like weekly recaps of Amberlynn'S 2 live streams. I also am not opposed to reacting to a live stream, but it's just like, there has to be like consistent stuff happening in it. Otherwise, it's just me sitting there staring at the screen for an hour and then cutting most of it out when I edit the video, you know? So let me know what your thoughts are down below about this style of video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If this is your first time on my channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell button so you get notifications. I also appreciate comments, hitting the like button, and clicking share, and sharing this with like a friend who's in the Amberlynn sphere, or maybe somebody who doesn't even know who she is. Surprise them. And also, please follow me on all of my social media. I had so much fun with y'all today. I hope you did too, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!